Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called the multiverse. Electric word, multiverse, means everywhere, and that's a mighty big space. But I'm here to tell you there's something else. The manifold, a world of never-ending adventure. You can play in the sun, day or night. So when you look up at that clown in the Falderall Circus, you know the one, Mr. Bee-Boop-a-Boop-Bop. Instead of asking him to tell you a joke, ask him if you was a joke. 'Cause in this game, things are much harder than in the manifold. This game, you're on your own. And if the phantasms try to bring you down, go crazy. You'll remember the Enclave. If that doesn't make any sense to you, stick around so I can translate. And where we're going, we don't need no dice. Enclave is a diceless RPG from Robbie Howell. I couldn't find the name of his company anywhere on the PDF. And has been funded on Kickstarter as of the production of this video. Greg Taylor did the art, and the book currently sits at 53 pages in length. It is a genuinely diceless system, akin to Amber or the Extraordinary Adventures of Baron Munchausen, rather than a game that randomizes results with a different mechanic other than dice like Bullwinkle and Rocky's Spinners or Castle Falkenstein's deck of cards. Yes, those last two are technically diceless, but that's not what the term has come to mean. I was provided with the Advent edition of Robbie for review without expectation of compensation or bias. The game states on page 4 that the complete version will be the Aspirant edition, which promises more rules and details, but no more information was available regarding that version. Enclave takes place in the setting of Manifold, which is a multiverse that can be reached from the city of Metro. Everything is possible in Manifold, and more importantly, everywhere is possible. The characters are members of the Enclave, an organization which serves as troubleshooters to any threats to reality. PCs all possess some form of supernatural ability determined by their class. The only race represented in the game is human, but there are other forms of life, as shown in the art. Classes can be more mundane options like a Thane or a Gunslinger, or highly magical ones like Illusionist or Thunderbird. A correction I am required to bring as a Texan is that revolvers are not semi-automatic. They are either single or double action. Semi-automatic pistols are an entirely different weapon. Just so you can clear that up before it goes to print. Classes get automatic increases to 2 of the 12 stats, 3 special powers, and a selection of equipment with one of those pieces giving an extraordinary power on its own, like the Gunslinger's Sawed-Off. Then you finish building your character by dividing up 6 more stat increases. After that, you determine your 3 traits. These are descriptors to your 2 class-based stats plus 1 more that you prefer, and these help define your character's abilities later on. You can assign up to 3 points to any stat, and these are represented by pluses. One level gets you a single plus, then a double plus, and the best is double plus good. I should have probably worded that better. There's no way to improve your character. Those rules will be added in the expanded version if the stretch goal is reached. So how do you do conflict resolution without dice? The stats are your first method. An event or action will have a level assigned to it to represent the difficulty. If your appropriate stat equals or exceeds the method needed, you succeed. If it doesn't, you have to exert to increase your level in the stat, but that comes with a price as you can only do it so often, reducing the effectiveness of that ability afterwards. Like other diceless games, the trick is to try to approach a problem from a position you are better at handling. That is the traditional method of getting people to think outside the box, and the Enclave fully adopts the approach. It's not a bad thing. If you don't have the dexterity to pick a lock, you can exert yourself to increase your ability, but then you suffer from exhaustion. Or if you don't mind sacrificing stealth for speed, the Gunslinger is more than likely going to have a sawed-off. Players can have a variety of methods of handling the problem, with trade-offs with each approach. Then you have to decide which way you will go with, and if nobody can do it without straining themselves, which suggested method will be the least painful. The pitch is a significant aspect of the game. This is how players will suggest a method to solve their current dilemma. If one player wants to sneak past a guard and the Gunslinger reminds you that he's got a sawed-off, then players need to offer up their ideas. The Game Master will listen to each one, compare the levels assigned to each trait, and decide which course of action will be used. This is usually who has the highest level and an appropriate stat. So if 2 people want to use Reflex, the Gunslinger with his double plus good will likely override the Illusionist with just a baseline. This can have unintended consequences, as the easiest method might not be the best method. The Gunslinger might be able to take down the guard from a distance instead of the riskier sneaking past. But when that guard's biomonitor goes dark in control, you can be assured that an alarm will be sounded. Even though it might have been tougher to sneak past, it would have been the better option. Easy doesn't always mean good. Pitches can be merged if they aren't mutually exclusive. This keeps the game cooperative. This is helpful in combat scenes where the Thunderbird and Thane go hand in hand with the bad guys, and the Gunslinger keeps the reserves at bay with his sawed-off. People can suggest how the situation can be improved so that all their powers go all just stalled and making a challenging situation more manageable. An Illusionist might be able to muffle the noise of the Gunslinger's sawed-off, while a Thunderbird could fry the electronics of the biomonitor. The family that slays together stays together. The The more the party works together, the easier the task becomes. A threshold system serves as the cost for both physical and mental activities. This is primarily left to the game master to determine, as there's no hard and fast rules for when a cost raises the exhaustion limit. A person with average endurance can perform a short sprint without penalty, while someone with double plus good can run a marathon without any drawback. The fact that the stats are broken down into just above average, best of the best, and superhuman doesn't leave much wiggle room for what's allowed. So what is Manifest? It's the multiverse. It's every setting from any time period. The characters can be knights, gunslingers, mages, librarians, elemental demigods, and interdimensional nomads. But it's hinted at high-tech settings as well as modern horror are abundant. The game could easily have an Arthur C. Clarke vibe, with technology replacing magic in many ways. The setting would thrive if it was set up like the movie Valerian City of 1,000 Planets, only without the soul-killing wooden performance of the lead actors. There's no information about the city of Metro, which would have helped to expand the world extensively. It gives all the benefits of being a member of the Enclave, but without the example of, say, prices for goods. What's the point of getting well paid? What can we buy? There's no equipment listed at all in this game. Equipment is given as a reward rather than a shopping trip. The game is designed for episodic play. You go out and solve a new problem every night. Defeat the villain of the week. Go to the place and solve the mystery. As mentioned, there's no experience system, so the players never get any better. Creating a character takes almost no time at all, so if you want to custom create characters for each adventure, it's not much of a problem. It's not meant to be an epic campaign, something that diceless systems tend to have issues with. Ask any Amber player about the difficulties with experience points. It does say death is permanent, but in a game where every wound can be immediately healed without penalty due to magic or science, that's a bit harsh. If you want to avoid this problem, steal from other settings where being fatally wounded isn't automatically mortal. The player does take a while to recover once they get back to base, so they're going to be out of the current adventure. It's a game with no long-lasting gains. It's recommended in the book that players get rewarded with equipment for a successful adventure. In this manner, it's quick, similar to Baron Munchausen, where the party will be a group looking for a storytelling adventure that lasts a single night. Enclave shows promise in its conception. Who doesn't want to play a group of supernatural-powered misfits going from world to world solving all manners of problems? But that's where the game runs into its flaws. It doesn't feel finished. It's 53 pages. Look at the shortest RPGs I've reviewed, excluding the comically brief A Welsh Werewolf and Shanfar Pushkin Gishko Gero Shundabush Santicilio Gogo Gog. Only Alma Mater was shorter at 58 pages. Teenagers from Outer Space was 64 pages. It Came from the Late Show was 128 pages. Physically, the book needs to be at least 56 pages. 64 is preferable. The reason for that is printers love page counts divisible by 8. It wouldn't be hard to get that with the book as written. The adventures in the later pages are written in a much smaller font size, making it difficult for older eyes to read. Reformatting those to a larger font size would quickly expand the book. Again, it's very short, but the cost to acquire the PDF is only $15, so the price isn't that high. Enclave must go all in on its weirdness to achieve its final form. It presents us a city where all possibilities merge into a single location, but expands on none of it. That will cause a generic storytelling game to turn into something more memorable. Give us a glimpse at the crossroads of the multiverse. Pull back the curtain and blow our minds. Show us this weird mix of ancient magic, super high-tech, modern amenities, throw it all into a blender and hit liquefy. Give us places to anchor our characters. Settings like this have been done before with mixed results. Sigil and Planescaper, Mort City and Slay Industries. Give the player something to inspire them, an iconic glimpse over the cityscape, showcasing dozens of anachronisms, leaving your players wondering, what is the story here? The rules could be cleaned up a bit. The copy I was given lacked a table of contents and an index, which could also pad out the page count for publishing purposes. Better examples of threshold costs would help immensely. Keywords are marked in blue and underlined, which I found a bit distracting, but that could be fixed with a button click. Or if you wanted to steal a mechanic from other book designs that worked great, sidebars could hold the information that the blue keywords are flagging. There's got to be examples of races, equipment, and more classes. A game set in the multiverse needs more than a half dozen. It gives us an expansive universe, but doesn't fill in the void it has created for itself. The game is best done with one-shots as written, so have players make multiple characters. Let them pick who's going on the mission once the briefing is given. This might seem like they're cherry-picking who's best for the adventure, but the game concept is that Enclave dispatches the best agents for the job. That would be entirely in character for the setting. If you want to make it even more awesome, give them those little watches from the Mask cartoon that flash when people are needed. Then they drop everything and immediately proceed to the mission, even if it's at an inconvenient time, like the birth of their child, during sex, performing CPR, or taking a dump. The game must be immersive to fill the shoes it's made for itself. It's a great concept, but it needs to back it up to shine genuinely. The game has already succeeded at being kickstarted. It's reached its goal and it's heading towards stretch goals. I'm not affiliated with it at all, but since it's made its target, it's going to get made. I'll post a link in the description if you want a copy. Hopefully the book will get padded out a bit, or even better, the expanded version promised in the PDF I was given will become a real thing. And then you can go around the multiverse fighting crime and saving reality one adventure at a time. That's Enclave. I think it needs to cook a little more. It has promise, but it also has gaps that read like a beta copy. Fortunately, there's time to fill in the gaps before the final version hits shelves. Next, Mad Musings is looking at another game provided for me, Wind, a game that breaks the mold by printing horizontally. Also one designed to be run with a GM, solo or without a GM. But does that concept hold up to the idea? Until next time, remember, here, there, and everywhere, it's hip, so hip to be square.